The Charleston Forum was born out of the tragedy at Mother Emanuel A.M.E. Church on June 17, 2015. Since 2016, the Charleston Forum has been an outlet for powerful leaders in Charleston to discuss race and other topics. I talked one-on-one with the founder of the forum, Brian Duffy, about this year's event for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Brian Duffy, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Great to be with you, Quintin. Thanks so much for talking with me.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Needless to say, you are the founding officer and director of the Charleston Forum, which, as you know, was born out of the tragedy at Mother Emanuel A.M.E. Church. The Charleston Forum began in 2016 as a group of local, political, business, educational, and religious leaders who wanted to provide an outlet to discuss race across many different topics. So tell me, Brian, what's new, what's now with the Charleston Forum?
Well, thank you for that, Quintin. What is new is that we are commemorating the 10th anniversary of June the 17th, 2015 at Mother Emanuel. And really the theme of our event is how far have we come since then and where do we need to go? And we look forward to having some panels dig in and discuss, let's talk about some good. What have we been able to work together and accomplish as a community? But we know there's still a long way to go. And how do we get there?
I don't want to steal any of the panelists' thunder, but let me ask you this. I'll just ask this, Dan. What is the state of race here in the Lowcountry?
Well, Quintin, that depends on your perspective. And that is what we try to do with the Charleston Forum, is bring those perspectives out there for people to hear. I mean, that's what a community that needs to hear. And it's really sort of, as a lawyer, I see it all the time. When you have people with different perspectives, you've got to hear them. You've got to, first of all, when you got something that means something to you and it's a problem that needs to get solved, you need to be able to articulate that and tell people this is a problem and here's how it needs to be solved. And other people need to share their perspective on why they think it is or isn't a problem and what they think the better ways to resolve it are. And so the state of race, as we look at it, is through the prism of how it impacts education, our educational system, how it impacts policing and criminal justice, and how are we going to attack, if we do, the symbols of the past, the future of the past, as we call it, the statues, monuments, building names, etc.
What symbols are still needed to be discussed in this particular setting?
Well, there are so many around Charleston and around the state. One of the things is that there's so much attention placed on the removal of the Confederate flag after the Mother Emanuel massacre. There's so much attention placed on the removal of the Calhoun Monument in Charleston. Those are important events that mean a lot to people who have different perspectives. But it doesn't end there. We still have recognitions or celebrations of past events that are troubling for a lot of citizens. And is that something that we as a community are going to address, or are we going to say we're not going to address that? And if we're not going to address it, are we going to at least have a way of handling things going forward that makes sense to everybody in the community?
You talk about the community, Brian. So what page are you in the community? Well, which page is the Charleston Forum and the community are on when it comes to these topics?
Well, the forum is very much about bringing different views to the table, Quintin. And so the page the forum is on is that we have to recognize that these are issues that need to be addressed. That is the fundamental point of what we're trying to do in honor of the victims of Mother Emanuel. Is we have to recognize, look in the mirror at that time and find out, what are the problems? What led to this kind of hate? How can we address things in a different way and really, provide opportunities for the community to grow? And what we're doing is recognizing that there are these issues and there are potential solutions, and here are the people to tell you about that. But at the end of the day, it's up to the community to decide what is the best way forward. And then you've got to put the work in to make it happen.
And I want to get back to that in just a second, but you touched obviously on the 10-year remembrance of the victims who were unfortunately killed at the church. 10 years later, a decade later, Brian, where are you emotionally?
It's hard, Quentin. It's hard because I've been devoted to this effort for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of interests ebb and flow, ups and downs, and a lot of attention at some times, but not others. And it really is enlightening for me to have been focused on it for only 10 years when I know a lot of people have been focused on it for all their lives and had to endure the same, I guess, the ups and downs of community interest in the topics.
I know I'm being redundant, but what exactly are the community's interests right now when you think of so many of these topics?
Well, there's a lot, and we've got surveys out there, Quentin, that, as you know, we did surveys in 2020 and 2021 that really gauge what are the community's goals. What do you think? Are we meeting those goals? And you get varying responses based on the demographics to whether we're meeting them or not. But the real beauty of that is we all have the same goals of wanting everyone to have valuable opportunity, valuable education, be treated fairly. And how do we get there is what we're trying to dig into. And we have new survey results are coming in Friday to really shed some more light on how the community feels about, how do you judge whether we're making progress in these areas or not? And so that's something that'll be hot off the press for the panelists to discuss on June 10th.
And I don't want to get ahead of that, of course, but when you looked at those, obviously your results are coming in, but so far, what has surprised you about these surveys?
What surprised me, Quentin, most is that there is a lot of agreement on how things need to be addressed and what priorities the community has. For example, the school system. People overwhelmingly believe that the system should spend more money on students who need it the most, where resources can make the most difference, rather than, hey, let's just give every student the same amount of money. I think that's very important. And Charleston County has recently, the school district has recently done that by a weighted funding system. And I think that's a very important development. I do, one of the things that surprises me the most is that you get so much agreement on how to fix things, but there is less agreement on these future of the past issues of how people really see ourselves, see our history. And I think that the differences in that perspective really handicaps or hinders our progress on the other fronts.
And what are those other fronts that should be addressed?
Well, we're going to be talking about the challenges for policing and criminal justice. And for example, one of those is how do we get, the law enforcement needs more help, more resources. We have to prioritize in the community. We have to prioritize giving them the services for mental health issues. You can't arrest and lock everyone up and make problems go away. And so, one of the issues is how do we make that happen? Can there be public-private partnerships that help make that happen if we don't have the public funding to make it work?
And I wanted to mention this too, and I'm sure you'll tell me this later on in the interview, but I know probably at least 5 people on the panel who've been interviewed by before Quintin's close-ups, and some of them will be joining you, including Charleston County Sheriff Carl Ritchie and Charleston County Solicitor Scarlett Wilson. So who else will be here to discuss these prominent topics?
Yeah, well, thank you. We're doing it a little bit different this time, where we want just the voices of everyone on all these topics. A lot of times we have experts in criminal justice talking about criminal justice, and we'll have those, but we're having the panels talk about all 3 issues. And the panels will first be what we call sort of the community voices. And among the community voices, we're going to have Marcus McDonald, who is the local leader of the Black Lives Matter group. And we're going to have Pastor Manning, who, of course, has been through and led people through a lot of issues and is particularly familiar with he and his wife's work in public schools. Um, and we're going to have Kendra Stewart from the College of Charleston, who heads the livability program there and is really just an excellent resource for all of these issues. And at the same time, even though we do have a public official panel, Sheriff Ritchie has agreed to be on the community panel and exchange views, with that group. And we're very fortunate to have Carolyn Murray serve as our moderator. And everybody in the Low Country loves her. She's great at dealing with panelists, but on top of that, she is really knowledgeable and really digs into all the issues to make the discussion as productive as possible.
And one of her family members is a lifelong member of Emanuel A.M.E. Church, so I wanted to throw that out there as well. But you obviously you talked earlier, Brian, about being involved with this panel discussion and the topics including social justice, criminal justice, and education for the past couple of years. So what is the biggest difference between 2016 and right now when you think of the Charleston Forum?
Well, the biggest difference is that we always try to tackle the most current issues. So the issues will be have evolved, will be different, and we have a new strategic plan with the forum, and it's called Forum Forward. And really, what that is going to be is, we're taking the community assessment, we're getting what you'd call grassroots and grass tops perspectives, some here in the event, others we do at convenings in different areas or discussions led to get feedback. And then the idea is we can, our survey will tell us, how does a community want to measure progress? And in the Forum Forward strategy, we then can take all of this together and say, here are the identified needs, the preferred resolutions. Now work with our action partner network, all these other organizations that work on these specific topics, and arm them with these results to go press for change. Now, I will say that the Forum Forward strategy also envisions a fully funded executive director position. So we are actively seeking funding for that, and hopefully can find that to help continue this effort.
Why an executive director? Why now?
Because we think we have done so much to put these issues before the public and before the leaders, and we've had some good results. But to make it the most effective that we can, we really need to develop this network with other organizations to help press the community's preferred solutions on the right leaders who can make a difference.
And how many of these surveys have been sent out to the community?
This is the third time we've done a tri-county survey, 2020, 2021, and now we're sort of regrouping here. But in the Forum Forward strategy, it would be every 3 years. So we would go through that cycle of getting community feedback through surveys, having expert discussions, having grassroots discussions, and compiling those results, and really sort of arming the groups in town and in the region to go use this information to make a difference. Can I jump in quickly, Quintin? Because I only talked about the one panel.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
I want to mention that we have a second panel of public officials, and Mayor Cogswell is going to join us on that panel. County Council Chairman Kylon Middleton is going to be on the panel with us, and Solicitor Scarlett Wilson. And so we look forward to diving deeper into some of these issues, and have intentionally kept the panel smaller to give some time to really dig in. And so we're looking forward to that. And just before that, if you come on June 10th at the Charleston Music Hall, the event starts at 7, but before that second panel, Charlton Singleton, our locally loved and renowned jazz musician, is going to play a little music for us. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, we love our Grammy Award-winning singer, musician as well. I hate to ask this question, but But let me ask you this, then, Brian. With those surveys, what exactly is your target demographic?
Well, fortunately, we've been able through our sponsors to go get the survey pros, the consultants who the goal is it's a tri-county wide survey, and we want to get a statistically valid sample of of different races, different perspectives within all three counties. And so we leave it to the pros to make sure we get that and make that happen.
And what else with this new plan that you all are going to design in the next couple of years and have with the executive director, what else will you be implementing with this particular plan when it comes to the Charleston Forum?
Well, the implementation will involve sort of a more of a routine cycle of a routine order of events and the way that we will develop the information that can be used to press for action on the topics that we're talking about.
And lastly, Brian, because I know you have to run, but how has this Charleston Forum become a better part of tomorrow?
Well, thank you, Quinn. I think it has, and I think it's because it is an openness and an engagement. It provides that for the community where everyone's busy and not everyone has the luxury of thinking about what things might be like for someone else. But this is an opportunity to take a step back. Everyone can reflect, come together, and realize that making these changes makes the community better and provides more opportunities for everybody.
How has the Charleston Forum changed you personally and professionally?
Well, it has definitely changed me personally because I've gotten the benefit of perspectives that I didn't have before. I really have gotten to learn from a lot of people through their experiences and through their knowledge base and what they're willing to share. And really that started at the very beginning when the forum began and we really built out a broad base of support and different views. And I always recognize we've had so many people contribute throughout, but former Mayor Joe Riley at the beginning and Reverend Joe Darby at the beginning really helped guide the forum and help bring other people to allow us to build to what we are today. So I've learned a lot and created great relationships through this effort.
And I know you mentioned the strategic plan and hiring the executive director, and obviously you're going to have more surveys to come in the next couple of years. With those particular resources, how do you continue to build the Charleston Forum 5-10 years from now?
Well, that's what we hope to be able to do, Quintin. And it's, like everything and a lot of things we'll be talking about, it requires funding to make it happen. And we've had fantastic support from the community for many years. But as I mentioned before, that interest comes and goes to some degree, and we need really looking for some of the foundations to step in and commit to long-term stability for the forum's efforts. And that's why we've put together this Forum Forward vision that's here and ready to go.
And how can people get in contact with you if they want more information on the forum or get tickets or even sponsor?
Well, the Charleston Forum website is a good resource, but most directly, they can send me an email at bduffy@duffyandyoung.com, and I'd be happy to address any of those interests with them.
Well, Brian Duffy with the Charleston Forum, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much, Quintin. I appreciate your work.
Oh, you're welcome anytime.